Well, let's face it, we've all been stuck inside way too long, and we've explored all we're going to explore in our local area. We're ready to get back out there, but we've waited a little bit too long, and now we're seeing that prices are skyrocketing. Add on that airlines have changed their rules over the last 8 or so months, and the landscape can be a little bit confusing. Now, luckily for us, we have a tool that'll help us not only get the best prices on flights, but help us understand what the latest rules and changes are. And of course, I'm talking about Google Flights. Make sure you stick around to the end where I show you a secret hidden power of Google Flights so that you never pay more than you need to for your next flight again. Let's hop in. Hey travelers, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Sky, and on this channel, we give you the tools and techniques you need to plan your dream vacation on any budget. If that's something you're interested in, subscribe now so you don't miss any of our latest videos. So I've been using Google Flights for years now to book my flights and find the best prices. With over 100,000 commercial flights a day, there's plenty of options and we need a powerful search engine that's going to get us the best prices. Now, I say this all the time, but the most important factor when trying to find cheap flights is being flexible. And Google Flights has powerful tools that allow us to maximize our flexibility and get those lower prices. So let's hop into the computer and check out the tool. Okay, so we're in Google Flights, and one of the first things to call out is Google Flights is super flexible. It's going to allow us search from whatever airport we want. So I'm in San Francisco, I'll place that. But it's going to let us choose an airport, a city, a state, a country, or even a continent. So if we don't know where we want to go or we don't care and we're just looking for the best prices, one of the things we can do is just put in a continent and kind of explore from there. So what I'll do is I'll put in Europe. So one of the cool things about flying to Europe, especially the Western European countries, is once you're in Europe, traveling across the continent is pretty easy. So one of the things you'll try to do is find a cheaper flight on the West Coast and then explore from there. So we'll put Europe in here. We'll keep the default dates for now. That's fun. And we'll search. And we can see this wide range of how expensive some spots are going to be. Most of the Eastern Europeans are over 1,000, but then we're able to quickly see that if we fly into Lisbon, this is half the price of some of these areas. So when we look at Google, we're going to be able to see a list of just major cities and airports that we select, and we can shop and filter for what we want. So let's say we want to check out Lisbon. So this is definitely something I do quite often. I'll look at spots like Amsterdam or Lisbon are usually some popular ones, and even Paris get a lot of traffic, and then they're easy to navigate from to go through the rest of Europe. In this case, let's say we want to do Lisbon. So now that we have some idea of where we want to go, let's narrow down the date range. And again, being flexible is going to be super critical here. Now, two of the tools that provide the most flexibility here that Google gives us is the date grid and the price graph. So let's check that out. So if we were to pick Lisbon as our spot, we can come here and we can view the flights. So with this, like I said, the two powerful tools are going to be the date grid and the price graph. I usually like to start with the price graph. And what this does is it allows you to pick and see when the prices are going to spike and when they're at their lowest. And you can adjust this by how many days your trips are. So let's say, and this is why we didn't worry about the date right away. Let's say I know I want to have travel for a week. It's going to update in real time and show me the highest prices. Lisbon from San Fran doing 8:41, 8:62. It's also going to show us the lowest times. So the dates that we had already, looks like this one's 4:11. You come down here, looks like this is like the lowest. We're 3:61. So if I want to get the absolute rock bottom prices to go to Lisbon, and this is the date range I'd pick for a 7-day trip, and you can adjust this. So for 7 days, it's 361. If we did 6 days, you can see that the prices start to adjust accordingly. When looking at the price grid, if I know I have a 7-day trip, what I like to do is figure out a couple of key date ranges and then start reaching out to friends and family, whoever else is traveling with me, to see if anyone wants to come on this certain trip. I could offer up August 18th through the 25th, September 8th or the 5th through the 15th, September 25th through October 3rd. Any of these 2 weeks would work. So once I pick the location, then I find some date ranges that start to work. That's when I start to flush it out. I'll reach out to folks and friends and then start to lock in dates. Now, the other powerful tool here is the date grid. So let's say I know what those dates are. This view gives me the specific in and out, so departure and return dates, and shows me some of the lower prices here. So if I want to take the cheapest flight, the 361, I know that's around August 18th going out, and this is going to be Wednesday the 25th coming back in. Now, if I wanted to adjust this a little bit, I can see, well, what happens if I add an extra day to my trip or two? Prices don't change too much, not a big deal. Same thing if I go a couple of days shorter. So this lets me see how much flexibility I have at any given time, which I love. Again, flexibility is going to be the key when you are looking to book a cheap flight. Now, I hope you're seeing the value and the power of this tool already. If you are, make sure you smash that like button. Let me know this is the kind of content you need. So we've found our location. We know the dates. We've narrowed in the dates. That's great. Now let's figure out which flights we're going to take. And I mentioned earlier that I was going to show you Google Flights' hidden superpower, and this is it. So when we're looking to select the flights that we want, we're going to have several options here. It's going to show us how long each of these flights are, how many stops, and so we can start to pick which airlines that we want. This is a 32-hour flight. I normally wouldn't take this, but when I'm seeing the 17-hour layover in Switzerland, I might consider this. It actually isn't bad. I'm a fan of doing longer layovers if you can get more out of it. So you know what? Why not? Let's click on it. And here's the real superpower. A lot of the cheaper airlines have been doing this forever, but recently, even the larger commercial airlines are doing the same thing. And this is the introduction of the low fare classes. Some of the lower fare classes, what they'll do is give you a cheaper prices, but in exchange, you're not going to have any amenities. And these are going to include things that we've known forever, including being able to bring your carry-on bag for free. The benefit of the lower fare classes is it's a cheaper flight, but that can be misleading sometimes. What they do is, in order to give you the cheaper flight, they won't offer you any carry-on or checked bags unless you pay an additional fee. You also typically can't do things like select your seats in advance and you're the last one aboard, which honestly isn't that big of a deal. But the carry-on bag fees is what normally catches people. So while your ticket price might be lower at face value, if you then have to pay more for a carry-on bag, then sometimes the price isn't actually any cheaper and it can cost you more. But I can tell you this from personal experience. When you book these things online, it's about the same price as if you upgraded to the extra fare class in many cases. But when you book it in the airport, the combined fees can be more expensive than the flight that you booked yourself. So be careful here. And this is where the hidden superpower of Google comes in. When you're looking at these flights, it'll show you the icon with the flights that have a free carry-on or free checked bag. Now, when you're doing the math and seeing how affordable these flights actually are, sometimes it doesn't make sense to take the cheapest flight at face value if you're going to have to pay fees. Now, I've been traveling for years, and I'm not a big fan of the check bag in general, but I haven't been able to do a 7-day trip with just a personal item. And your personal item is usually just like a purse or a backpack. So I always at least bring a carry-on. And so unless you find a way around this option isn't usually cheaper. So this is one of the reasons I love Google Flights, because it's going to show you right there which flights are going to come with additional fees. Now, if I look at some of these other airlines, for example, I look at this United flight, some of the other things I'm going to see are the fare options. So it's going to tell me right here on it, if I get my first carry-on is free, my first checked bag is free. If I'm in economy, if I'm in business, then I'm going to get 1 free carry-on, 2 free checked bags. So right there, I'm going to get an understanding of what each airline provides. And when you're looking at Google, because it's searching all of the 100,000 flights that fly each day, each airline is going to have different requirements. And so one of the things I love here is getting that information clearly displayed on the layout. So that's the hidden superpower for Google. This is going to help you make sure you get the absolute lowest prices by not paying any additional fees. You'll know exactly what you'll need to prepare for before you even purchase the ticket. So finally, when we're using Google Flights, it's actually purchasing the ticket. So when doing this, once I find the flight that I like, again, I think I like this layover one, which is extremely interesting. What we're going to see is 2 things. One, I always check this little indicator at the bottom. So we've looked at the price dates. We know the areas in general. So we already feel pretty confident that we're getting a low price, but Google's also going to do some of the analysis right here for you and tell you how much of a deal are you usually getting here. And it's telling you right here, this flight is $580 cheaper than normal. So if you're flying from San Francisco to Lisbon, then you know you're already getting a good deal there. So that's one of the last things I always look for before booking, make sure that I'm getting a good deal. And then finally, booking the flights itself. So Google's going to give you plenty of options on how you're going to book the flight specifically. I typically don't book through any of the third-party platforms that they have here. Some people do, I know. None of my friends do, so I wouldn't recommend it. I've never done it, but What I usually do is go straight to the airline itself. I find that gives me the most control. I avoid any of the middlemen. If I have any challenges or need to change, I'm only calling one number. I'm not worrying about calling multiple. Here, it does give you a couple of options, including booking on different sites or calling directly with some of the partners. In this case, I would just do this one click. This will take me straight to the booking portal itself. So this takes me straight to United, and I am seeing the same thing that I saw on the other. The fare price $240 plus the taxes and fees for the total right there. And again, this is exactly what I was seeing on Google Flights. I'm straight at the final page, and this is going to give me that warning right here, right? Basic economy restrictions, no complimentary seat, no free check bag, no flight changing rules and refund. So if these things are important to you, you're going to know right away which class you're getting. You'll do a little checkbox, and you can book the flight right there. So Google is going to take you straight to a number of portals that you want to go through, so you can book the flight directly. You don't actually end up booking through Google in most cases, but you use Google as the tool to find your cheap flights. And then you're done. You've booked your flight, knowing that you've gotten the best deal. Google Flights is one of the most powerful search engines for finding the cheapest flights available. And if you're interested in learning more budget travel hacks, check out this playlist that I created for you. Right there. Click it. Yeah. Just click it.